Let's take it out of the prize
And
cards.
here it is, game
Here
one
we
of
go.
our final in Stuttgart Regionals. It is Mateusz going first with that Battle VIP pass. Immediately slammed down. Does open that fleet-footed Raikou V as well, which gives him another opportunity to draw more cards in his deck. Not the most ideal starter because it potentially may give up 2 prizes and not really used in this matchup. But at the same time, opening the Battle VIP pass, despite prizing 2, will be in Mateusz's mind that, you know, hopefully he can get things going here.
Yeah, you've done well there to have 2 Battle VIP passes prize and still manage to open one. Things you love to see. And yes, that Raikou, not a card you probably would look to use. I believe mostly there to hit like Lugia for weakness, but it is still usable. Basic Pokemon, 200 HP with that fleet-footed ability, letting you just take a card from the top of your deck when it's in the active. The attack is also usable, and it will be used to full effect, as Mew will probably fill its bench there with the Lightning Rondo, which is 20+20 for each bench Pokemon in play. Almost like a baby Subspace Swell, as it were.
Yeah, but hitting as a lightning attacker, hitting for weakness on what we've seen previously with Palkia Vs and Palkia V-Stars, and of course the big target on its back, Lugia V-Stars there as well. As we see Mateusz go through his deck, does have the energy search for the energy and does use concealed cards, draws straight into a cross switcher and a Marnie as well. Does use the speed energy also to continue drawing cards, and he's just going to keep going with these trekking shoes. That's the second one he's played already this turn at the very least, and he's going to be retreating into that Mew, Celebrations Mew with that Mysterious Tail ability. Looking at the top 6 there as Mateusz is just looking through.
Oh, that was another
Does
VIP pass.
This second VIP pass, despite again, as mentioned, 2 being prized, so can continue building up his board. You know, he's going to be looking to try and get that Vicavolt to try and slow some things down, but also trying to use the Palkia that he's just moved to the active spot there, potentially to deal heavy damage, but maybe foregoing the Vicavolt at this stage, knowing that there's, although many items in Brent's side, he typically plays them out immediately as soon as they're played into his hand or drawn into his hand, sorry.
And I really like this line of play for Mateusz. He's really done well there in getting 2 one-prize Pokemon down, 1 in the active, 1 on the bench, meaning that Brent, well, if he did have access to Meloetta, can't take 2 prizes with Meloetta via escape rope plays, keeping that Raikou nice and safe. Come in handy there with that 1 retreat cost, because you know Suicune has a 2 retreat cost and Entei VH has a 3 retreat cost. So the 1 retreat cost on the Raikou there coming in clutch. Over at Brent's side though, he does get rid of a Boss's Orders via a quick ball. Now he's going to do a little prize search. I imagine just going to try and work out those prizes. You know, 2 Meloettas there. Forestall Stone could be impactful. Forest Stone allowing you to just, you know, get any card from the deck, and
exactly.
if you draw into it turn 1, you can slam it on down onto a Genesect, meaning at any point, you know, even under Paralyzing Bolt Lock, you can just grab whatever you want, a supporter, an energy, anything like this. So that might be a little bit harder for Brent to draw into.
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation. We've seen some bad prizing already on this stream today, and you know, just this opportunity to attack turn 1 with the Meloetta has now just been taken out of his own hands because of prizing both of them there. So he's going to have to look at a different route, maybe a slightly slower route, because then he would have to evolve up that Mew V into the Mew VMax before really dealing sort of big damage, because he doesn't want to really put a Mew in the active spot with energies and sort of lose it too fast, too soon. But we do see a couple of the quick balls. He does still have that proxy Genesect, I believe it was.
Yeah, so just for anyone watching at home thinking, what on earth is going on there? There's a Grass Energy with some writing. Is that like, you know, some sort of preset proxy? No, what it is a judge-issued proxy. They're normally given if a card gets damaged throughout tournament place, you know, maybe if it gets bent or, you know, some aggressive shuffling, maybe, you know, a corner gets bent too much and it's too obvious for, even throughout a sleeve, a judge can issue a proxy there so you can continue playing the game. So that's what that is. There's nothing, you know, crazy going on there.
Yeah.
There we see a Lost City. And we see that first Fusion Strike system drawing, I think, 4 cards, I believe. I think that was an empty hand there for Brent. Let's see what he draws.
Yeah, it's going to be something I've got to get used to as well, seeing that Grass Energy with some writing on it. There's a quick ball discarding the DTE there as an energy attachment. Obviously, he has already attached a Fusion Strike energy to that benched Mew. Won't be able to put up any one prizes, because the only 2 that he plays are currently prize right now. Otherwise, we would have been looking at a completely different turn. We would have been trying to hope for a Meloetta attack with Alyssa Sparkle and hoping to potentially go for that Pokemon catcher to really target down one of those V Pokemon on Mateusz's bench there. But because that's not possible, Brent's kind of having to play this more reduced line and sort of route to maybe preserve some of those moves. He may consider maybe putting forward one of those Genesects because he'd rather lose one of those instead. But he does get the 3rd one down and continues using Fusion Strike system to kind of draw through his deck and just give himself a number of options here, with Alyssa Sparkle also coming down with both Mews selected.
We could even see a Psychic Leap KO here onto the Mew in the active. Psychic Leap doing 70 damage if there's no DTE involved. So we could see that. We could even see an energy mix, not the end of the world. But like you said, that Meloetta player catch-up would have been amazing. And I think Brent's got to be a little bit careful because, you know, this isn't just a Vicavolt deck. There is a Palkia there, and Palkia can easily evolve Subspace, use Star Portal, I should say, and Subspace as well, and start taking 2 prizes really fast next turn. So that's what I quite like about this deck. You know, it can be an item lock deck, or it could start swinging the tempo really fast with the Subspace as well, like we saw with the Articuno deck. Palkia coming in very capable still of taking prizes.
Yeah, there's another Battle VIP pass that Brent's been able to pick up there from one of his Fusion Strike systems. He could go for the Psychic Leap here and deal sort of the 70 damage to knock out the Mew. He will have to, and he's beginning to identify as well, have to bench a 3rd Mew down, because with Psychic Leap, he won't want to leave that in the active spot, and it will be the necessity to potentially shuffle back into the deck. So he needs to have both Mews out in case he does get a Respawn KO, because right now they are very squishy. They only got 180 HP, and it's not really enough, especially when you're giving up a full board to Mateusz as well, with 2 Pokemon there. That does heavy damage when your boards, both players' boards are filled up with Pokemon. So an option here to take 1 prize. He's got to start thinking about some of the prize mapping that he'd like to go down. There are 2 Vs on Mateusz's side. He does see 2 single prizes as well. So there's those kind of options there that he'll look to try and maybe utilize. Also saving those energies back into the deck. Does still have access to 2 Alyssa Sparkle. And then that way he can still continue doing that as well, because by preserving those energies without any of them prized, if he can get Alyssa Sparkle off, if there's an attack by the Palkia V-Star, he can get 4 energies out. And then potentially, if he takes this prize here, which could be the Meloetta, he's missed it.
Unfortunately.
Could have potentially done Meloetta's attack and dealt 280 damage base if he got 4 energies out. And
that would be a really scary scenario for Mateusz to stare down there. Mew VMax with 4 fusion energies in place, swinging for 280. It looks like we saw a Melanie there, I believe, to the Raikou, and we do see it. I think that must assume that's a choice, but that's a flash energy, I believe. So Mateusz is drawing a lot of cards here, you know, between Mysterious Tail, Fleet-Footed, flash energies, Melanies. That hand is looking rather large. And Brent, you know, unlike these 4 DTE Mews, Trekking Shoes as well even, unlike the 4 DTE Mews, there is no hand disruption there from Brent. There is no Marnie, there is no Roxanne. So Mateusz is able to just grow this hand. You have to imagine, you know, in a combo like this that wants to get, you know, certain basics down and combination of Melanies and using Star Portals, operating off a large hand is really key.
Yeah, definitely, and he's not going to be, as you mentioned, disrupted at all. And here's this Mysterious Tail ability. Again, lots more options, more Trekking Shoes. Wow. That's probably going to be the 4th one that we're going to see already in just sort of the 2-3 turns already from either player. This is 3rd turn, actually, as mentioned. But that Raikou V just on the bench there actually powered up already. Currently not seeing the Palkia V-Star either, despite having 2. There's the Heavy Ball, so a few different options available. There is the other Palkia, which seems like an obvious choice because he's already identified it as a key attacker in this matchup, because both boards will be set up heavily, of course. So it'll be interesting to see how else Mateusz is going to be able to pull out all the stops to really deal enough damage to take out this Mew, but then also set up the next turns and prize mapping for himself as well, because he'll soon be eyeing down and facing up against a Mew VMax, which has 310 HP.
Yeah, it's a big old hefty 310 HP. And here we see the Raikou potentially coming in with that Lightning Wonder. First in that Fleet-Footed. Again, how many cards have Mateusz drawn this turn? I feel it's
piling and piling up at the moment. And that hand is looking massive. And there's also drawn another 2 cards from the prizes as well. So now it's back over to Brent. Of course, as we mentioned, he did get that Mew V down, so does still have one more in the active spot now with an energy attached, of course. And he'll be looking to try and return KO, take 2 prizes, and then he will actually have access to those Meloettas. Well, fingers crossed if he starts from the bottom. But what we've experienced so far, most of these players tend to do that.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see what Brent does here. Obviously, it has a Genesect, so going for the 4 Genesects in play. I guess when you prize both your Meloettas, you can do that, having a ton of draw. There's the Elisa, so at least there's going to be an energy to find there, because sometimes finding an energy in Mew can be some of the hardest things to find. Fusion energies are good because that means you're not starting with a -20 modifier. Going to make it much easier, actually, having 2 fusions, been able to potentially O-code this Palkia at some point. Having that -20 can skew the maths a little bit, so starting off there, nice and strong.
Yeah, definitely. And I think from Mateusz's side, he did obviously get a chance to evolve that Palkia V to the Origin form, Palkia V-Star as well, that we see in the nice shiny gold version just to the left of that Mew there. But if he's going to try and sort of retaliate attack, potentially try and take some prizes on Brent's bench Genesects, because he won't really be able to stretch forward for that 310 HP that a Mew VMax will be using to tank hits. And in that response, if Brent is then able to use that Meloetta attack with further Fusion Strike energies, it could be a really easy KO here, especially alongside those Choice Belts and alongside Power Tablets, which we haven't even seen yet. There goes the Mew VMax, being able to be in an active position. And there's a couple of power... Oh, wait,
no,
that's a Chromatic. Yeah, there's a hedge as well.
Okay.
Yeah, just underneath the card there. That's just confirmation. He doesn't need the Power Tablet there in that sense. So just to be interested to see what card exactly he'll be able to pull out here. Being able to take any card, very similar to Forest Sealstone, but of course with that effect of having to discard a card. Does identify and find a Mew in some shape or form, but now has 2 attackers on the board alongside 4 support draw Fusion Strike system Pokemon as well.
And it's interesting there, because that Mew V has come down, that means Brent will not have the option to start attacking with Meloetta if it's taken out of the prize cards, unless, you know, Mateusz take KO something. And I have to imagine for a deck like Brent's, being able to get to 4 Fusion Energy and start swinging with Meloetta Echo would be really advantageous, because I don't see many ways for Mateusz just to like blow through this Mew VMax, at least in the turn. Getting that Forest Sealstone is huge. Being able to offer Brent a computer search at any time, able to search any card from the deck. Here we see another Fusion Strike system. And things get a little bit funny when you get 4 Genesects out. You can just, your turn continues.
Yeah, and you're just going to be bursting through your deck to be able to get all of those pieces that you need. You know, he's going to be trying to utilize all of those different cards like the Boss, the Serena, to try and gust up the right Pokemon to take the prizes on. But he's in such a good position here because he's just kind of staring down at a relatively weak Raikou V currently, and a relatively easy Pokemon to knock out, putting himself down to 3, and then it's just 2 more attacks really to kind of go through. Mateusz will be looking to try and evolve the other Origin form Palkia V as well, just to kind of give it a bit of a HP buff. But at the same time, it's just thinking that with those Power Tablets, with those different damage modifiers, it could be really easy for Brent to kind of just burst through those Pokemon that are put in the active spot. And we do see the other damage modifier there attached to the Mew V on the bench, just kind of prepping it ready. So that's 2 prizes. Does take the Forest Sealstone, which also, well, already has one attached to the Genesect anyway, but that's kind of ready to be used for a piece of the puzzle later, as we go into Mateusz, who could be in a bit of a sticky situation. He does have to take a knockout this turn, so whether it's using those escape rope to try and bring up something else, using Star Portal to get the energies onto his Palkias, that could be a route to victory. But he has to take a knockout this turn because Brent is ready to go with his Mews.
Yeah, it's almost like we're seeing a Palkia deck versus Mew here. We haven't seen any form of Vicavolt. And I actually remember that Turbo Palkia was a deck, right? Palkia in combination with Mews. And I wonder if that's part of Mateusz's game plan here, is to just, you know, forgo Vicavolt in this match. Or Vicavolt only doing 50 damage. Mew VMax has times like, you know, Energy Mix and gets up behind that and just blow through. Here we see a quick ball for the Galarians. This is going to have that headbutt tantrum ability when you bench it, and you put 1 damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon any way you like.
Yeah, and there's the hand attachment of that lightning energy to the orange form Palkia V right now. I expect the Star Portal ability to be used here, and just as they say that, he turns over that V-Star counter and attaches all 3 water energies to both Palkias, so he's getting full value, and that's an easy knockout onto the Genesect with the Forest Seal Stone as well to try and limit that opportunity there. Does go to the Lost Zone because of that Lost City currently in play. Does also reset the Mew VMax's attack, having it's gone to the bench, now coming back to the active spot. So Mateusz there also just 1 attack away from taking game 1 in our finals. Yeah,
all Mateusz needs to do here is just, you can even Hydro Break into a Genesect here with that Palkia and win. For Brent's side though, I think you just want to try and clear the way of this Palkia V-Star. You can't really allow this to hang around. We do see 1 power tablet in the prize, and I think we've seen 1 discarded. Brent does need to find 2, needs 3 mods in total to get the KO here on this Palkia, because otherwise all Mateusz has to do is just find Gus, and he does play cards like Cross Switcher, for example, and with a hand that big, you have to imagine he's probably got that available.
And there's the final Alyssa Sparkle. We'll be getting the full flow of 4 energies out, so there's the opportunity to use Meloetta's attack and deal the full damage of 4 times 70 of the Fusion Strike energies that are available. So 280 base damage plus the 30 on Choice Bell, already over KOing the orange form Palkia V-Star in the active spot. The biggest concern right now, I'd like to think, is that Mateusz does have a potential Palkia V on the bench powered up. Just needs an energy for, as you mentioned, the Hydro Break attack, or if there's an evolution into the V-Star, and is just going to be looking for that gusting effect to be able to do so, and has access to multiple Mews. If he promotes the one with the air balloon first, and then maybe find a piece, a Cross Switcher, already has a massive hand typically because there's no hand disruption, and then could retreat into the other Mew to kind of continue picking up items where possible. So we've got Brent here just kind of deciding which Mew to maybe potentially attack with. Could use either, of course, despite having that DTE, because there is that Choice Belt on the other one. It will still do plenty of damage.
Oh, and he has the double cross switches, had him in hand.
So yeah, it's kind of showing it. He does still need to show the energy, because right now there's only what does that Palkia V do?
Does he? Yeah, needs to show the energy still actually.
So just need to confirm. So that goes into the Lost Zone. That goes
there. Needs to find the energy card. Does he have the energy for the Hydro Break?
Always make sure. There's a Luminion.
Okay, there's a Luminion. For Melanie. Okay, so that gets there. Melanie goes to the bench Palkia V-Star.
Melanie to the active, and that's the Hydro damage. And wanting to take out the Grass Energy Genesect V there for his final 2 prizes. And
let's see what happens. And he's opted to go second.
Yeah, looking to try and apply that pressure, knowing Mateusz won't be able to play any supporters or attack. But we do see that Mew perfect, or better start, I should say, with that active Mew Celebrations Mew there. So Brent opting to go second, which I can kind of understand, because they're so limited in different ways of playing the game. Like I said, not being able to attack, not being able to play supporters. But we have seen Mateusz's deck work well, because it does have things like that Crobat. It does have things like the Lightning Pokemon to be able to attach speed energy to draw more cards. It does have the Greninja to be able to use concealed cards. There's so many different options to maybe just stay in the game. And at this point, it's just had a quick deck check with that energy search. It's taken a water energy.
Oh, that hand is suspect. What is this mysterious tail?
This is vital. This
is actually quite big. I see a cross switch, a lost vacuum. Was there VIP? I didn't see any ball search there actually.
This could be really troubling here.
That speed energy isn't going to. Oh no, there's no basic. Well, I guess there is the Crobat at the very least, but
you can't take it. It needs an item card.
Of course.
Which is really, really troubling here for Mateusz, and maybe this choice of seconds is going to pay off for Brent.
Not like this.
That's just a pass.
Brent's eyes must be widening right now. All he needs, what has he got? We see a Forest Seal Stone.
We see Alyssa Sparkle, so he just needs another Fusion Energy. He does have Cramomatic as well,
does have the quick ball.
Of course, just has to make sure he doesn't misplay this at all. He does have the Forest Seal Stone. So does that mean he's got it in hand already?
Quick ball, Meloetta, Fusion, do the tablet to grab the
Psychic Leap for knockout.
Yeah, he can even Psychic Leap
without jumping in.
Yeah, just needs the Forest
There's a
Seal
couple
Stone.
of options there, but of course these players have to make sure they are sequencing correctly and make sure they've got the outs to it, so that he has to check that they're not all prized.
This is true,
for
actually.
one.
Yeah, this is true.
But he's just quickly identified it. There's Tamelueta. There's going to be, surely. There's Alyssa Sparkle. Select the 2 Pokemon and make sure there's only 2 available, of course. Both Fusion Strike Energy attached. Oh, I guess he's chosen it already. But then, of course, with Forest Seal Stone, he can attach it to Mew.
Grab the next one, yeah.
And then just grab an energy. And there you go. There's the V-Star. And it's just, he just has to confirm. There's the energy. And that's a very quick game 2. What a decision by Brent.
Wow.
To go second and just donk that Mew. I'm not really too sure what to say at this point. This is an excellent decision, because knowing Brent can apply so much pressure with a deck that happily goes first or happily goes second, we've just been put in a fantastic situation where we're going to a game 3 with both players 1 game apiece.
Yeah, no, that was an incredible decision. I think I was questioning it a little bit, I think, because, you know, we know that Mateusz plays a lot of 1-prize Pokemon, and you can sort of nullify Meloetta going second by putting down 2 1-prizes, so you can't even escape rope into 2 prizes, but took a risk, and the risk worked out really well, because just being able to quickly dunk that Mew and get back into a game 3 scenario for, like you said, all the money, all the CP, booster packs, bragging rights, all of it, all going to go down onto this game 3. And if you was Mateusz, would you even opt to go? I assume you still want to go first, but
yeah,
going first must leave a little bit of sour taste in your mouth after that one.
It does, but he's got to try and just calm himself down, go into this game and really just kind of focus that he will draw out of it. You know, that typically shouldn't happen or happen very often. He could have used that Celebrations Mew to hit any of his quick balls, any of his ultra balls, any of his battle VIP pass, and just be able to then get into the game. Of course, did prize that Hisuian heavy ball, so he wasn't able to grab that or any of the ball counts, but he'll have to choose to go first again, because remember, he has to evolve to be able to do any attacks. It does give Brent a bit of an advantage with the Meloetta to be able to attack first and deal heavy damage, but it's a risk he has to take, because he needs to evolve up into those Palkia V-Stars and start dealing damage that way. So really crazy game, but this takes us to an exciting game 3. Mateusz will be hoping to just be able to get into the game this time.
Yeah, but just hoping that I can, like you said, get involved in the game, because we saw when Mateusz did get involved, he was in the driver's seat in that game 1. Brent quickly snatching that game 2, though. So it's all going to a game 3 for, like we said, all the marvels, all the prizes, all the bragging rights, all down to this. And let's have a look at these prize cards. So nothing too impactful. I guess there was 1 copy of the Palkia V-Star. It does play 2, I guess, 2 check-in shoes. We did see get used to good effect, actually, in game 1, allowing Mateusz to just turbo through his deck really fast.
Yeah. By his second turn or third turn, he had already used all 4. You know, he already had all the cards he wanted into his hand. He's going to want to try and build it up again as we look over to Brent's side. 1 Forest Seal Stone, 1 Genesect, 1 Alyssa Sparkle, 1 Energy. Absolutely fine in reality. Maybe the Ultra Balls could be a bit better, but here we are. We're about to go into game 3 of our finals in Stuttgart Regionals. We're about to get ready for this final game to crown our champion.
And here we go, a really good lead there, I imagine. Opting to go for the Raikou again. It's almost like the same as last time. Raikou getting involved, nice to know that speed energy.
That's nice there, that speed energy. Again, I spoke about it a moment ago, just utilizing those lightning Pokemon, even just to use it for the speed energies to continue drawing cards, and drew straight into that Greninja, and then drew another 2 cards with the concealed cards as well. Straight into their heavy ball. I don't think there was actually many options there. If I recall correctly, no basics.
No basic Pokemon,
so
exactly that.
That's fine. It's just a quick shuffle, and then obviously placed back onto our prize cam for us to follow along with our viewers at home as well, anyone watching the stream. He's not getting benched this turn.
No.
Which is fantastic. There are 2 1 prizes. If there's any issues around escape rope, so he's got a feeling a bit more confident. He'll want to try and find a way to maybe get a Mew into the active or potentially get a Palkia onto the bench. Looks like a quick ball. It looks like it's a discard of 1 card there. Yes, it is. It's a quick ball discarding
the Vicavolt V.
The Vicavolt, yeah, which won't see any play because that Raikou V is plenty enough with the fleet footing, drawing cards with its attack. The Lightning Rondo, I believe it's called, with those 2 energies that it needs to attack. Very efficient attacker, especially when both players fully bench their board. And he chooses to get the Palkia V there. So straight over to Brent to see if he can take some initiative, either with cards like that Pokemon Catcher, and the List of Sparkle and the Fusion Energies. Let's see how Brent's going to play out this turn.
Yeah, like let's not forget Brent does play Pokemon Catcher there, so we could see some Meloetta into a 2-prize shenanigans here with Meloetta. Or getting rid of a Fusion Energy. I don't know what he's hunting for there, but getting rid of a Fusion is really high up on the priority list.
It typically would mean the hand's really bad, and there's one catcher for one. There is a Chromatic, but he will need to hit heads on this. I don't know what card he's put down, face down currently, but this could be massive.
Here we go. This could decide the finals here, and it is.
It's a Tails.
No.
That's really bad right now for Brent. Just seeing, he's got one Genesect. Can he play his hand down? He can. He can draw up to 2. Well, theoretically, he could play the Silene, but obviously you wouldn't want to at this stage
no,
either.
You wouldn't, no.
There's the catcher play. Can't quite see. Yep, straight for the Palkia, which again is another playable card. There's the Lost City playing his hand down. The Power Tablet. Draw for 1.
Was it a VIP?
Oh, is that a quick ball?
It was a quick ball. Okay,
so he's going to continue going. Okay, that's a start. He also gets a chance to look through his deck and find out exactly what is prized now. I think he's also targeting that Grass Genesect V proxy there to get it out of the deck as well, so it doesn't like confuse him going forward. You know, he's played with it a few times now. I think that's something he's gotten used to, I think. But again, as a reminder, that was a judge-issued proxy for anyone joining us in Game 3 of our finals. And that is a Genesect V there. The Genesect V that he might have been using might have been damaged a little. So now the judges wanted to make sure we've got a fair game. Does have a proxy for them to use. It is just written there, but it's better for the integrity of the game so that we can play with a full good 60 from both players. So there you go. Genesect V to the bench. We'll be drawing up to 3 cards with that second Fusion Strike system. He will need quite a bit to go. That's 3 cards. Really interesting to see what he's got here now.
Well, VIP Battle Pass is about to say it's still
There's the
live,
Battle VIP Pass, and we're going to get into the game here, I think.
Yeah, and I guess the Meloetta option is still on. I mean, I guess oh no, if one's at the discard pile actually and one's in the prizes, Meloetta is no longer an option. A bit sad there to see it at discard pile. But yeah, at least he can actually get in the game, because that was looking mighty suspect at the start of the turn. So I guess it's now, what does Brent opt to go for?
If he could theoretically still go for the Meloetta play with 2 Fusion Energies in deck.
True, yeah.
There's a possibility to do 140. He's already played 1 Power Tablet.
170,
he only needs 1 more damage modifier, and that would actually be a KO on the 200 HP. Oh, wait, it's a 220?
Yes,
apologies, he will need one more.
220.
I kept thinking about Hydro Break dealing 200 damage earlier. But yes, 1 more damage modifier, and actually still be able to do so.
And it looks like he has taken a Meloetta, so I guess with 1 tablet being played, he might still want to keep that option open potentially. So, you know, just sort of hedging your bets almost, saying, let me try and play these 2 gameplay paths at the same time, and hopefully I can draw well enough to get that cheeky Meloetta attack. I always think if you take a KO with a Meloetta with 2 Fusion Energies, you've done quite well there.
Yeah, even so, I think just getting the 1 prizer out, and if he doesn't draw out of this using this final Fusion Strike system, he'd still be able to put that into the active spot and not really give up too much, making Mateusz still have to go through sort of big bulky Pokemon, or potentially 3 2 prizes, or a 3 prizer in the Mew VMax and the 2 prizer, which is quite difficult when you don't really have damage modifiers beyond that Galarian Zigzagoon just sat there on the bench right now. So he's seen his new 6 cards. Doesn't look like there's anything that's sort of really instantly playable. Does choose to use Alyssa Sparkle, identifying the Mew and the Meloetta there. Wonder what the rest of the cards are in his hand. He can't draw any more right now using those Fusion Strike systems. So there's just a 1, of course. Because he would still need to attach from hand for any sort of real damage. So let's see. He's just shuffling up right now. Both players having a little conversation, understanding what's going on, what's the outs between one another. That's the great thing about playing Pokemon. You can still have those conversations, still enjoy the game, of course. No hard feelings if suddenly there was a way out here. But Brent just kind of making the decision here right now. Surprised that he might have chosen that. There's another catcher. Catcher Tails. I'm not really too sure what maybe he wanted to bring up the Zigzagoon again.
Maybe is it easier maths to KO the Raikou
Well,
actually?
there's the
Yeah, I think
attachment
that
from
might be
hand,
what it
so he's
is.
dealing 140 base plus the power tab it already played, so 170 damage.
Ooh.
Obviously, was close to actually still being able to take this knockout with just 2 more damage modifiers, but for the time being, just applying a lot of pressure to Mateusz' side.
I wonder if Brent had another power tab. Oh, has he got no hand actually? Oh no.
No, he's got a hand,
I wonder if Brent had another power tablet there, because if that catcher was said, you could have actually taken 2 prizes on that Raikou there, but opted on that first catcher to bring up the Palkia instead. So there is that. So back over to Mateusz though, starting off the turn. Let's see what he grabs here. Got himself a Melanie. Always good, just growing that hand nice and, nice and slow.
Nice and big,
You know what I mean? Yeah, getting an energy attachment here as well. Looks like he's deciding where to attach it. And going to the active and then drawing 3 cards. And look how big that hand is already. Wow, Mateusz is doing really well.
Yeah, ideally not wanting to go down the same route as game 1 and take sort of 3 knockouts and a lot easier than necessarily taking out this Meloetta, especially knowing that one fusion energy is already in the discard, so already limiting that sort of damage there. So it's not too much of an issue if you can leave this Meloetta alone, maybe use an escape rope to find a way to attack one of the bench Pokemon. But a few options here. So we've seen another concealed cards into another speed energy on the lightning Pokemon.
Wow.
That's another 4 cards there just from an energy attachment. So just got to see what he's able to do now. More trekking shoes.
I think he might be trying to line up a cross switcher maybe. Cross switcher
yeah, that's it.
into 2 prize Pokemon, because like you said, with a fusion energy in the discard pile, Meloetta is much more safe to just leave that alone.
There you go. Wants to take out one of the Mews, which are very squishy with just 180 HP. That Lightning Rondo using fleet-footed as well to draw more cards. There's more from the trekking shoes. That Lightning Rondo, remember, 20 damage base plus 20 more damage for each bench Pokemon, counting both your opponents and yours. So right now there's 8 bench, so that's already 160 plus the 20 is 180. Perfect math right now at this current moment in time, with nothing like an Oricorio in play, because Brent doesn't play that, chosen to forgo that sort of line of sort of protecting his Fusion Strike Pokemon. So right now, again, that opportunity to go ahead on prizes using a very efficient attacking Raikou. I think Mateusz will probably look to try and also get another Palkia V down as well.
Yeah.
Despite having a Palkia V-Star on in the prizes. So there's the Ultra Ball. Also would like to try and protect maybe that big Palkia V from further damage somehow. But a few options. He did initially eye up that Celebrations Mew just to kind of have a way of maybe retreating into it. He wanted a fresh Palkia V, which is what he's opted for. If this Raikou does get knocked out, he'll have to promote an attacking Pokemon instead of a support Pokemon like the Celebrations Mew currently.
Yeah, I imagine Mateusz might be trying to set up a 2-2-2 prize map like you saw in the first game. 2 prizes there. You can take 2 prizes with Hydro Break on the damaged Palkia, and then 2 prizes with a Subspace Roll onto a Genesect there. I believe that's what the line he'll be looking to play towards. And I guess when you play so many copies of Melanie, it's very easy to set up Palkia, right? A very efficient Subspace Roll for 2 water energy attack cost there, perfect at taking out Genesect, especially when Brent has to fill the bench. Here we see at least a Sparkle.
Yeah, just to kind of check the deck. I mean, also thin out his hand so he can use Fusion Strike System. Shake the head. He's kind of just double checking that he hasn't missed anything. He obviously has discarded one. Just confirmation that he has prized one as well. So there won't be any available targets there, which is something that he would have been playing towards already. But again, I think he's likely to just be able to get the cards into his hand using Fusion Strike System, just to kind of see the right pieces rather than necessarily get more energy out and use that attack. So there's a power tablet also played. Again, sort of making sure that KO is going to happen, because once he does get a Mew VMax down, it's doing 210 with Techno Blast, minus 20 for the DTE. Doesn't need that extra power creep to be able to take the 1-hit KO. There's a Chromatic, another Tails there for Brent. Flipping dice or sort of rolling dice, not quite working out for him right now.
And you have to imagine from Mateusz now, seeing that all these power tablets are going, it's going to make a Palkia V-Star, a fresh Palkia V-Star, I should say, very hard for Brent to sort of blow through. Like we've seen, there's Fusion Energy and Discard Pulse, and Mellow isn't going to be able to start swinging for 208. I think we've seen 2 tablets being played now, so I actually believe it's going to be really hard for Brent to even get a KO on a fresh Palkia. And I think that 2-2-2 prize map for Mateusz is looking very fortunate. I think he should be able to pull it off. But over to Brent, I'm assuming this Raikkout is going to get KO. But to be fair, a card that's been underwhelming, Raikkout, even in against Lugia, can be a little bit underwhelming, especially with Dunsparce. But I tell you what, in this final, it's been putting in the finest of work.
Yeah, it's taking that early prize and one of those sort of easier V Pokemon to knock out, just because, again, like I said, it's getting that extra utility, just having those speed energies attached. Doesn't need to waste Star Portal to it, and then can just use that energy that it was already using to kind of build Mateusz's hand to just be able to take an easy KO and put himself ahead on the prize race, having to force Brent into a position now where it's far harder for him, because he only was able to just deal some damage to that Palkia V on the bench there.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that he missed that KO. It's really set him back a turn almost. He also needs to try and get that turn back and hope that Mateusz can't take 2 prizes at any point. But we do see the Mew VMax come down though with a power tablet, so the Raikkout V should be going down unless we see Catcher. We did see one hit the discard pile, actually, you can see it at the top there. So I believe that might be all 3 played actually, because he played 1 on turn 1, played the second one, and then that's the third. So the only gust we see will be with Boss's Orders. There we see a choice belt for actual, a little bit of over damage there.
Yeah, just kind of protecting it for future turns. Of course, can be lost vacuumed. Mateusz does play 2 copies of that to try and limit some of the potential effects of other Pokemon tools or stadiums that could prevent Mateusz from drawing through. Does promote the Radiant Greninja, which kind of gives me a bit of a feeling whether he might try and, again, do another cross-switcher play. Yeah. Very unlikely, but look to try and use that Radiant Greninja to attack. There's the concealed cards, activating there and just drawing into a Battle VIP pass and a Lightning Energy. So he still is looking for that one of remaining Palkia V-Star. Easy choice there from the Trekking Shoes. Remember, 1 Palkia V-Star is prized, as is that one-off boss. So he needs to either use the cross switches to kind of get out of the active spot, because he won't be able to really KO this Mew VMax. Really sort of try and target down one of those Genesect Vs or the other Mew on the bench there. But I think he's struggling a little bit. He's just kind of eyeing up his sequencing, making sure he knows what the resources are that Brent's kind of gone through already. Perhaps he just doesn't have an out to the Palkia V-Star right now.
Yeah, I mean, there is. He did evolve the bench one with damage there, but it looks like he's definitely eyeing up something. Maybe the Star Portal could get you to retreat this Greninja and then maybe start attacking with his subspace well. But like you said, it does kind of need to be combined with Gust. And like I said, the boss is prized. We have seen 2 copies of Cross Switcher being played. You have to imagine if Mateusz's hand was perfect, the cards would have been played by now. So they're trying to work out something. Maybe we could see the Crobat come down, but that hand is really big. So I don't think we're going to have to draw many cards off that. Here we see an Ultra Ball. This might help give us some clues as to what he's thinking.
Yeah, so he's just going to sort of try and identify what he can do from this moment. Does eye up a Mew again. So if he was able to get a Mew earlier in the turns, we've seen, as you mentioned, around this kind of so-called turbo Palkia builds, utilize the Mews to really kind of pick up the right pieces that they need for any sort of combo work that they could do in certain matchups, particularly around this. They don't really want to be hitting through a big VMax Pokemon, because it's going to require 2 hits. Those Pokemon Vs on the bench are looking really, really easy to KO right now, but it's just getting to those opportunities. That boss in the prizes is not helping either. As we see, the Mew choice, the Celebration's Mew choice with the Mysterious Tail. It's just trying to work out now what the best play is, because he's also going to have to try and power up second Palkia V on the bench.
So he does have double cross switcher in hand, but wait, what is this we're looking at? Is this this must be the discard pile. Yeah, okay. So he does have double cross switcher in hand, but I don't know. Did you see how many energy he had in the discard pile there?
Looked like there was 3. Does look to try and get value out of the Star Portal. So it's just checking which would be best to maybe attack with. He does have to hit the boss, of course, should he take any prizes. He's just double checking this turn right now as well. It's interesting because he has to try and maybe utilize that Palkia V on the bench as well, because he doesn't have access to the second one. So that Hydro Break is an option. He's just looking at a retreat option here, and just has...
So we probably see, what, 2 to the...
Oh, he's gone for the Greninja play. He's just kind of maybe softening up the Mew VMax as an option for him. Maybe he just doesn't want to waste his cross switches that you said he's seen in hand there.
I guess we could see a Moonlight Shuriken taking out the Meloetta, damaging the Mew VMAX. That puts him down to 3 prize cards, so he can just boss KO this Mew VMAX now instead. An interesting line I hadn't really considered, but it does just mean Gusto. He does have the cross switches in hand now, so this does kind of get punished by the Palkia VStart getting boss KO'd.
Exactly. This is the awkward spot he's put himself in. He has taken that prize, gone to 3. As particularly as, I guess there's still a way to power up that Palkia V using Melanie, which is sort of the main draw engine of this deck as a supporter card, and also sort of energy acceleration. Particularly knowing that Brent isn't really able to hand disrupt at this current moment in time. This situation's a bit awkward, but there is the energy there. He has the Melanie in hand as well. There's an opportunity to Hydro Break, but that's still not enough, right? That's 90 damage to the active right now, leaving 220 HP on the Mew VMAX. Would have to utilize multiple scoop-up nets on that Galarian Zigzagoon, because it's just a DTE attached to it. I'm not too sure right now how this is going to play out. This was it was an unexpected turn. What I was seeing there, I thought there might have been an opportunity to take a knockout on a 2-prizer.
Yeah, and I thought, take a knockout on a 2-prizer, take 2 prizes, hopefully you take your boss out of the prizes, and then you just do a nice easy 2-2-2 prize map there. But opting to, I can see the logic behind that line. Try and damage the Mew VMAX now. You can just essentially boss that in combination with Zigzagoon Scoop Up Net, but he was always going to be a gust away from winning anyway. So I feel as if taking the 2 prizes might have been more easier. Here we see, is this an escape rope?
Yeah,
I imagine that's an escape rope, yeah.
Well, now if the Zigzagoon's getting potentially knocked out.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's cool.
Ideally not what Brent wants to do either, because he also wants to go the 2-2 route at this current moment in time. Mateusz also holding the cross switches, which means that I guess that bench damaged Mew VMAX is still a target. But again, because that Mew... Oh, that is a 1. That
is a 1. Yeah,
that is the one we spoke about this earlier. But because that Mew is now been evolved, the one that was been moved to the active position, there's no way to Psychic Leap away for any reason either. So some very interesting options here.
Probably targeting the Luminion. Ooh.
Okay, just putting another 2-prizer available. Generally, they're sort of susceptible to KOs anyway. The Palkia V and the Palkia V Star just kind of sat on the bench. Just kind of wanting to see what Brent is able to do from this position, because he, of course, has that damaged VMAX there. If he's attacking with it, he wants to try and maybe KO that V-Star, plays a card so that he can maybe Fusion Strike system for more. Interesting to see, is that a fresh 6 as well?
It looked like a fresh 6, yeah. Let's see what he gets up to play the power tab. Let's get cards out of his hand.
Remember, he hasn't used the Forest Seal Stone yet either, so can still just tutor any card he wants at any one stage. There's the Trekker Shoes, there's the energy, which is, I would like to think, quite useful, especially when he's mixing between 2 attackers. So yes, he does keep that to hand. Just what else is available there right now? He looks to play... Ooh, is that a quick ball?
Quick ball, get made VIP battle pass. I imagine that's probably going to be a fail. Just get cards out of the hand, you can Fusion Strike system. You have to imagine he's probably going to try and find Gust this turn. I don't think he hasn't played supporter, right? So he could just try and find a boss's orders or Serena, actually. Both would work in this scenario.
Or Pokemon Catcher.
Or even Pokemon Catcher.
He has played 2 at the very least. He does play the 3 copies. Of course, that's why you suddenly see sort of more of a shorter count of bosses' orders and Serenas, sort of utilizing the Pokemon Catcher, that 50% being sometimes so vital in turning a game on its head. There you see the attachment of the DTE to the active Mew VMAX. And now it looks like he's just kind of looking over at the board and seeing what there is. Just keep double checking. Is that the card I really am keeping down right now? He's just counting that he doesn't overcommit and Fusion Strike system too many cards away. There's the Lost Vacuum. Getting rid of the Lost City.
He's really digging. He doesn't want to use that.
There's a Fusion Strike system. Another 5 cards there. He's just down to 2 cards
he's got
remaining.
2 cards left in deck.
He looks like he does. Is that a Serena?
That's a Serena. Yeah.
So can gust up a Pokemon V with that other technical ability there, and brings up the Palkia V, which already isn't damaged. That fresh one with that power tablet on the right hand side there, doing plenty of damage, and goes for the Techno Blast KO here. And this puts Mateusz in a really awkward spot. Can he double gust? He double gust, of course, the VMax, and now does plenty of damage with Subspace.
Oh yeah, with Subspace Swell. Yeah, that's the game.
Is that the game? That's the game. 60 plus.
Yeah, that's definitely the game.
That's amazing. This was a very different line of play that we were sort of anticipating, but he's able to target.